I always forget that I'm way paler than anyone else.
Me too. I get that a lot from people.
That you are. Yeah. Hi, I'm Janae from the Sharp Index, and I'm excited to sit down for our inaugural Sharp Conversations. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion because I talk to a lot of people about healthcare IT. We have a toolkit for people who want their electronic health record to be better because across the board, people don't think they're fantastic. And you're both experts in both realms. So, can you introduce yourselves?
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm Suba. I am a hospitalist at Penn Medicine. I am also an informaticist and founder and CEO of Caroline, which is really a labor of love and passion over the last 15 years, which I spun out as a company a few years ago. So, really excited to be here and talk about this really important point or this really important topic.
I'm Gabe Charbonneau. I'm a family practice doctor in rural Montana, but I have sort of myself taken a back seat from the building tech. And I think you guys both know I've gotten into the grassroots doctors organizing. And so what my main work now is in my time when I'm not practicing medicine is with Medicine Forward, which is a grassroots physicians network. And we're working on a project for this summer, hopefully in June, collaborating with ACP on really raising awareness and disrupting what's wrong with prior authorization.
Love it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Well, I have a question. I,
Yeah.
I would love to hear about how you started Fight Burnout and Medicine Forward.
Yes.
Well, okay. I really felt this focus on, okay, the system is really not working, but overall, most people inside of healthcare are good people. There's a ton of really good people trying to do good work, trying to make a positive difference. And so I just started journaling about it, and I was reflecting on my
Hmm.
own day job in family practice and decided that like well when you can't solve problems like in a tactical way, like what if there was a symbolic way to like show that I have hope, that I believe that people can overcome these things. And so that's where this came from. And so if you've seen the shirt, it's essentially the rod of Asclepius, the rod of medicine with the snake around it being symbolic for medicine and the people in medicine, and then a phoenix raising that out of flames below as this symbol of hope. And then it has the words
Hmm.
fight burnout. We're trying to like help reverse this trend of everyone being ground into the ground from working in the EMR and feeling like they had less autonomy than ever and that their jobs were just exhausting. And so burnout started to emerge as this trend that was really important. And I was like, well, what can you do with burnout? Well, I'm going to create a symbolic gesture for that. I believe in the future of humanity overcoming burnout. So it becomes fight burnout. And also I'll throw in there, speaking of things I like to watch, I love Harry Potter, which I think you guys might both already know that. So the Phoenix imagery, partly inspired
Yeah.
by
Love
that.
it.
And there's another
And it's
tangent.
a good image. That's something
It is a great
that
image.
actually was one of my first impressions of you because I was like, this is a good image. Like who remember I asked you, I was like, who made that? That was really good.
Yeah, my subconscious, I can't really take credit for it. It was like the Phoenix was more intuitive than anything. It was just something that I liked. And I didn't know it was going to work actually. When I first made it, I just made this shirt for myself. I'm like, I don't really care. This is important to me. I'm going to make this shirt for myself, and I'm going to make it like the nicest shirt that I can, like really good material. I'm going to have it printed at this local shop that makes great t-shirts because I had made one before. It turned out that like yeah, it just blossomed into something that was bigger. But the thing that I love the most is that what started to emerge was that it felt really good to give that shirt to people, like especially if someone was doing something that I was inspired by. So here's this thing
Yeah.
that's symbolically meaningful to me, and then I can give it to someone else and say like, "Hey, this is sort of like your award for being awesome."
Yeah.
And then people loved wearing it and would like write to me about like how it made them actually feel more hopeful. And I was like, "Okay, perfect. This is like
So great.
super good vibes, right?" Super. If you could have like anything happen that was something that would really help you with your effort, like sky's the limit, something magical,
Hmm.
like
Wow.
what kind of changes would just transform things?
This is great.
I think it would be, if I was going to sum it up in one word, it would be choice. Choice for the people who want to use our platform to be able to make that choice for themselves.
Yeah.
That provides a lot of, I should say, leads to a lot of burnout with a lot of the people I speak to. Is they're like, I have a lot of things I want to use. I'd love to use this. I'd love to use that, but I don't get a choice. And it's hard for me to make that happen. Um, and I guess the corollary to that would be alignment between IT and what clinicians are asking for. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a hard one.
So the analogy that I've been sort of obsessed with is the App Store ecosystem on our
Hmm.
phones, and but not just that, but also the history of how that all happened. There was a really interesting historical podcast I listened to that talked about how BlackBerry, how that whole thing happened, where BlackBerry was really dominant, and what smartphones were like before the iPhone, and
Hmm.
specifically like before the App Store opened everything up. And part of it was actually this philosophy that carriers wanted to be in control of all the apps that you could have.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us don't remember what it was like when like you had a phone and it might be a smartphone, but the only things you could have on it were like carrier approved. So Verizon says you can have this app, but Sprint says
Yep.
you can have that app. And so that feels like the world that we're living in, where it's like
So true.
you brought up choice. And think about how that transformed everything when the iPhone came along and when it first came out with the App Store, where you could
Hmm.
put apps on there that like wouldn't destroy everything. Like there's a review process,
Yeah.
and but like you let people decide what did they need and vote with their downloads for what was helpful. And so in
Yep.
that way, like you leverage this collective interest and intelligence for like what people want and need to work. Versus like the model that we're in right now, it's like here's your one size fits all technology product, and someone that you don't know picked it for you, and it was the best of bad options, and it's
Yeah.
not customized for anyone, but you're going to
And you
use it.
don't want it, you want something different, too bad.
And so it's kind of like that carrier lock-in
It's an
thing.
interesting analogy.
Taxpayers paid for that, billions of dollars.
Yes, we did. You tweet Simon Sinek quotes. You tweet his quotes all the time.
Oh, yeah, he does.
And all the quotes that you've posted have always resonated with me. And when I was on service just now, a couple of weeks ago, I constantly found myself saying to the residents and to everybody, it's like, you have to ask why. Like, why does this person have this diagnosis? Why
Yeah,
is this person on this medication? Why does this person still have a Foley? Do they still need this Foley?
yeah,
Then when I looked up Simon Sinek the other day, I was like, oh, his first book is Start with Why. That's amazing.
yeah.
So I started listening to it. And so thank you for exposing me to that. But I wanted to know, what is your favorite book by him,
Yeah.
and like
Yep.
what draws you to his work?
Okay, so I'm glad you went there. The most recent book he wrote is called The Infinite Game. And I really like that one. Well, at least I really like the concept. Um, I have to be honest that I listened to more podcasts where he talked about the ideas and got more out of that than I did the book. So sorry, Simon. But I love the idea. So I can share some of those, but they're really great about understanding how sort of our cultural mindset about business is part of like why we're stuck. And when I was reading that one, I like 6 months earlier, I had drafted this email where I like just felt compelled after reading and listening to that I needed to write to Simon Sinek and tell him like thank you for all these things. And so I wrote this big long email and I included like graphs of like the famous one about like how the cost to life expectancy in the United States is off the rails in the wrong direction. And so I wrote about that and I wrote about like my concerns about what was wrong in medicine and how I appreciated like what he was writing and talking about because I felt like it was so important to what we were wrestling with. And then I shared with him a picture of like people wearing the Fight Burnout shirts and told him like that this was this thing that I made. And then I put it in my drafts folder and never sent it because I was like, like I don't know, like there's gonna be something in here that's he's just gonna think this is dumb. Like people probably get emailed all the time. So I'm not gonna send it. And then I just let it sit for like 6 months and randomly I was looking through my email drafts and found it and I read it. I'm like, actually, this is pretty good. And like, what do you have to lose by sending it, right? Like, and so I sent the email, and then what's really interesting is like nothing happened, and I never checked my spam folder, but I did. I don't know why. And in my spam was this response from Simon's assistant who was like,
No way.
Simon loved your email and wants to set up a time to talk to you. Yeah. So we had this like hour-long conversation, he and I. Um,
No.
yeah. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, super cool. And
Oh,
you know what his advice is for what we should do, and we're actually kind of experimenting with it, is to basically like start creating book clubs of getting people together to like think differently about
I
leadership.
love that.
He said he's seen that work in other realms, that it can kind of like start off as this little thing and spread into like a bigger social movement. And so there's a group of us that's reading the right now the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, and kind of going through every 2 weeks we're picking a chapter and sort of trying to hold ourselves accountable to doing the work that's whatever the commitment is for that week.
That is a great story.
this is a great story.
What are some sources of wellness in your life?
Oh,
Okay.
I love this question.
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to
Thanks.
start with a geeky answer. So Aura Ring is a
Okay.
source of wellness in my life, and I've tried so many different trackers and stuff, but the thing that I like about this one is it's helped me to realize like when I'm burning the candle too hot and my patterns for doing that, and like when I need more recovery.
Interesting.
The insights about recovery are really good, and it's helped me to like sleep better, exercise better, know that when I'm in clinic, it's going to run me into the ground. And so like I have to be careful like how many days I do that, and that I budget some downtime afterwards. And so it's kind of this geek data for helping me figure out like how to keep my life more in balance. I also, another thing that not everyone knows is I work 3 days a week and have for 12 years. And in clinic, I work 3 days a week. And that's an amazing life upgrade because our job is already hard enough. And I've been talking to more and more people who are realizing like that's one of the ways you can make it sustainable. That control over
Yeah.
our schedule and schedule flexibility is like a top desire, and that needs to happen more.
Totally
So
agree. And just for the record, 3 days a week still feels like full
oh my,
time.
it
It's
is
not like, oh, you don't do anything
it's
for,
completely full
30% of the time.
time, but it's like one of the only levers that you can pull on because we've sort of
Yeah.
marked in the sand that like 4 or 5 days are full time. But with the amount of work that you do outside of seeing patients, and the intensity of that work, it is full time.
What a paradigm shift, right? If we
Yeah.
could make that a standard, that all of the other things that we're normally doing in the evening hours and the night hours and the weekend hours become daytime things, just like most other jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they just accounted for them in payment.
And it really actually has helped me have more space for human connection, which is what I want.
Awesome. I'm glad that you were able to come and share your stories.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
This was wonderful.
If people want to get in touch with you or can do anything for you, what do they need to do?
So go to medicineforward.org and tell all the physicians in your life who want to be part of disrupting the status quo, because they know that we need a better system and we need to reclaim the importance of humanity, and especially the importance of trusting relationships with our patients. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm on there.
I love that.
Let's bring the joy back into medicine.
We'll share that.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.